Oh, we're so close to GoldenEye. I can feel it.
I know, man. I'm excited. I'm thinking about that regularly. I'm constantly thinking like these early movies to me are just kind of a novelty. Like it's cool that they exist, but to me, the franchise of Bond doesn't start until Brosnan. And so when we're in GoldenEye and forward, that's my James Bond. And I'm sure that the old school folks will be like, you're wrong, it's the old stuff. But this old stuff to me is just, it's fun, it's cute, it's got some elements to it. It just doesn't resonate for me most of the time. It's just an oddity that exists in time.
I kind of felt like I was going to give it more leeway, knowing it was the last one for Roger Moore, but not much. That's why I like taking up my notes. I'm like, where was this overall? Because it wasn't brilliant.
There's a quote that I can't find, and I don't know the beginning portion of it. I think it's got a cute rhyme to it, or like a near rhyme. But it was something like, if you start on the mat, but you leave on your back, or something like that, where you can't leave a champion. You can't leave as with a win. Everyone who leaves professional wrestling, their story ends with them losing their last match. And
Okay.
and so I kept trying to find the quote, but that's how it feels for me with both Connery and Roger Moore, where they, no matter how good their movies are, their last one, it's a stinker.
I just think it doesn't hold itself together very well. Like, I think I can understand the stakes, but then didn't the last movie kind of climax early and then, oh, we're still chasing the secondary villain?
Well, I think that's been kind of the pattern for a lot of these movies, where they'll start by having their big moment at the end, but then you've got to chase the bad guy, and then you get the girl at the end. So I'm thinking of almost all of the Roger Moore movies, but why can't I remember the name of it? The one with the submarines that are captured. I gotta look at the
Like Connery or like Moore?
I think it was The Spy Who Loved Me, where there was that underwater guy who he was building Atlantis essentially, and then he wanted to start nuclear war, so he had been capturing submarines from the U.S. and the Soviets,
Oh,
and
right.
even NATO or the UK, I guess. So that guy, we do the big world-ending thing first, then chase that guy to Atlantis. And so, like, the world is saved, but Bond now has to get a kill. Like, it's not good enough to be done.
I enjoy that we go through the plot, but I mean, I know that I started like at the second paragraph of the Wikipedia because I'm like, where did my notes go? It wasn't particularly thrilling, but yeah.
This is one of the most mixed reviewed movies, and I'm excited to talk about it because it's a bad movie, and there is no getting around the fact that this is a bad movie. But there are things, there are times when it's fun to watch a bad movie, and for me, that's the ride I feel like we're about to go on.
I forgot. I have it spinning back up again in the background without the audio on.
Just the visuals going.
Oh my gosh. I had forgotten about the intro film.
Yes.
View to a Kill 007. It's like, oh, man, this is James Bond.
Hello and welcome to Potato Chip Pictures, a movie franchise review podcast. One day I'm going to get it right in the first try. A movie franchise review podcast looking at the Bond franchise. My name is B. Sammy Davis.
And I am Justin.
And today we are looking at 1985's A View to a Kill, Roger Moore's final movie in the Bond franchise, pulled from the 8th book, which I know was an anthology because it also had For Your Eyes Only as a story within it. I don't know how close it is to this particular book, but it's certainly Roger Moore's last movie. We're looking at a budget of $30 million with a return of $152.4 million. That is over $30 million less than Octopussy. That is crazy.
30 million returned less?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. So the producers were really into Roger Moore. And so, for the past 2 movies, Roger Moore has thought this was his last movie. And then they come back to him and they're like, we want one more. We want another one. and so they've been getting diminishing returns on each of them. So For Your Eyes Only was supposed to be the last one. $195 million returned. Then Octopussy, they're like, no, you got to come back. He gets $184 million returned. And then finally, they're like, come back one more time. And he's bringing in $152 million. So
such low numbers.
Yep. It's a lot of money. It's impossible to say this is not a lot of money, but it's pretty dramatic reductions, from movie to movie in terms of what you are getting back.
Yeah. I mean, I think if that didn't convince him, I think just the course of, reception may have. I feel like this one. I feel like this is probably doing with microchips what Mission Impossible is doing with AI right now. Like, These things are gonna kill the world, and let's be worried about them. Like,
we don't understand anything about them, but it's the hit. It's the hot thing. You gotta be scared
microchips.
of it. Yeah. And frankly, this kind of goes to my theory. I don't know if I've ever said it, but I'm using this to point to it. The closer the opening mission is to the rest of the movie, for me, the worse the movie. And the one that I can think of is Goldfinger, which is, good for the memes, not great for anything else. But that one starts with him going on a mission, and they say, you got to go to Miami. And then after the credits, we're in Miami chasing Goldfinger. And that's the one that comes to mind. This one, we've got Bond finding a dead man in
with the microchip.
Yeah. I think we're in Siberia. Like, I have no idea.
Yes.
We're in, Russia, and it's cold, and there's skiing going on. It's another ski-based action scene, and I'm getting bored with them.
No.
This is the worst of them all to me. I legitimately hate this scene, at least in terms of what we have seen so far from this franchise. This is the worst for me.
Yeah. I will not put up a fight for that. I know that he gets to use a snowboard. And I think there's some fun stills of the stunt James Bond's doing some cool fights. But yeah.
That's one of the other terrible things about this movie is that their stuntman looks absolutely nothing like Roger Moore. So it just draws more attention to how old James Bond is getting.
I mean, I don't want to be ageist. I'm so curious what the end plan is.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you start with the new Bond, because like Daniel Craig, I don't know how many years between the beginning and end that one had, but like I think he wouldn't come back to do another Bond because how old is Daniel Craig? I'm curious. He is 57. How about that? Exact age.
Yeah, that's about the time that we should not have a Bond anymore. And I don't want to be ageist either because I'm not opposed to an old spy. I have seen movies about old spies, but they are made as though the actor playing it is an old man, whereas this one feels like it was made for at least someone in their early 40s. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't seem appropriate to have a mid to late 50s man chasing an early 20-year-old.
The initial tension with them, him and Stacy, it's like he breaks into her house, they meet, they have a tussle with some bad guys also breaking in, and he's like, oh, I mean, everything should be fine if we lock everything down, and like everything should be fine if we were in this house. And the man tucks her in and they sleep through the night, and it's like, I mean, that felt more appropriate age-wise than the ending of the movie when they actually get together, and it's like, okay, that felt really fatherly, and I
This is also the movie where Bond sleeps with more women than he kills people. Yeah, like, I think Bond directly kills maybe 2 people. We've got Zorin for sure. Who is the second guy that Bond kills? I think he shoots someone while he's on skis, but I don't even know if he's got a gun on skis, so I can't remember who else Bond could have killed. I know he killed one dude. I know he killed the last guy. But I also know he slept with 4 women in this movie, including the very opening sequence. You know, we've got Bond on skis. Yeah, let's get back to the movie.
Oh, sure.
This is
skis.
This is going to be one that's where we've got plenty of bad stuff to talk about. Let's do it.
Escapes on skis, escapes on snowboard, makes it to the ice.
He does the skis. He gets to, I think, a snowmobile. And then the helicopter blows it up, and that gives him the snowboard. He magically snowboards up the hill to kick the 2 guards approaching him, and then the Beach Boys starts playing. And I now hate the movie. I am now actively hating the movie for the entirety of the snowboarding sequence because I'm like, what is this? What has happened? What have they done to my boy? And then when he finally gets to the bottom of a hill, there's this British flag in a circle floating in the air, but it's actually the top part of a little, not even a submarine. It's just a boat that kind of rides below the surface. But there's a part that always has to be on top, the little iceberg part.
Yeah. I mean, it goes along with the odd tech that James sometimes has to make use of, but yeah. He meets another agent.
And it's a luxury submarine. Like, it's...
nice soft bed.
Yes.
That's what you're looking for in a spy submarine.
Yeah. You need the soft bed for when you're getting away from the baddies. So, yeah, that's our first woman that Bond sleeps with, and it's awful, but there we go. Like, that's our opening scene. If it were a little mini vignette, I would be like, okay, it's very dumb, but we never have to think about it again. We're going into a fever dream of an opening credits with a Duran Duran song that I just don't like. This movie's
Same.
off to
I
a
did not
bad
enjoy it.
start for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there anything about the opening credits that stood out to you? Anything that felt interesting or
Black light and neon colors, but beyond that, I almost didn't even hear the theme song until the end credits when it also plays. But I wasn't impressed with the song. The intro credits, just another Bond outing, bunch of silhouetted naked women, and how can we make that interesting and tantalizing without being straight nudity? Like, they're all naked, but...
And this one is almost... Well, it's not the furthest away from any of the movies because at least at one point people are skiing in the title sequence. So there is some connection to the movie, but otherwise it's all style, no substance. It's colorful. It looks 80s as hell. It's got a very 80s band playing behind it. I
think for the most part, the movie doesn't quite feel so 80s until the cops show up.
See, and I was sitting here thinking, like, this is the 80s, the most 80s a movie has ever been to me, except for maybe an 80s high school movie.
Released in 85, so I mean, sure. I didn't live through the 80s, so.
Well, and I was a baby for most of them. My memories of the 80s are based on being a scared child seeing a lot of people with big hair. And and for me the 90s is where it's at, but even in the 90s, like for the first half of the 90s, it's still like a continuation of the 80s. Like everything's neon and lasers and all that weird stuff. But we then go to London because Bond is back from his Siberian mission, and we meet with Miss Moneypenny. And right away, Bond is criticizing her outfit. And I'm so angry at the movie. Like, believe it or not, I like the movie more than I am letting on because it's really only the beginning that pisses me off so much.
Yeah, I didn't read until I was looking for more information after the end that this is the last movie for Moneypenny.
No!
I didn't look if she has any cameos, but I think the article is saying Roger Moore's last and so-and-so's last. I couldn't remember her name. But Moneypenny.
That is a shame. It'll be interesting to see who we get to replace her, if we get someone to replace her in the next two movies.
I don't think I ever watched any of the Daltons. So while I'm excited for Brosnan, I'm like, let's see what Timothy Dalton does with his character and what the people turn the universe into. Because I feel like losing M and Bond and Moneypenny is so much of the era of like Bond. However many movies we've gone through, they've been through all of them except for M in the last couple.
We do have an M in this movie. And I believe we met him in the last movie, but I know that he's in his office now. We've still got the minister who has been in the last several movies, but we also now have a genuine M. So M is now played by actor Robert Brown. Robert Brown had previously appeared, I believe it was in... oh my God, why can't I remember the name of the submarine movie every time I try to think of the submarine movie? The Spy Who Loved Me. I am losing my mind, Justin. I have lost it. I am gone. So he was the captain of the British submarine in The Spy Who Loved Me. I believe that's who it was. I could be wrong. Actually, I'm completely wrong. He played Admiral Hargreaves, and I don't know which movie that person was. The point is, he's been in there before. He's been a part of the British Navy. Within the universe, a lot of people look at this M and say, okay, this is proof that 007 James Bond is a title because M is a title. There is a new person behind the desk. That person was previously a ranking member. Yeah. If that makes sense. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's one of those things where I'm just like, oh, okay. So we've got some interesting ideas here, but nonetheless, we do have an M, and we are getting this. Okay, we are getting told that the microchip that Bond picked up in that stupid snowboarding chase belongs to the company Zorin. And they figure this out because they match it up with another microchip that is exactly the same. Oh, and what do you know? It also has the brand right on the microchip of both of them.
I mean, it would be tough to make your villain microchips without a brand name. Like, I feel like it's an odd detail.
It's just so dumb that they had to put them on top of each other to see the brand name. Like, it's there. It's weird. This one says Zorin, but this one you got from the Soviets says Zorin. How could that be? Let's go find Zorin. So at least to this movie's credit, well, I don't know if I want to say that because now I'm thinking about Goldfinger, where in that movie they told us who the bad guy was in the first few minutes of the movie. But there's no pretense about it. We know who the bad guy is. It is Zorin. He's really into horses, so we're going to go to his horse race. This is where the movie starts to win me again, but it's because the movie starts to get so dumb that I'm just like, okay, fine.
All right, let's go along for the ride.
Yeah. I'm just like, all right, MI6 has a horse breeding and racing specialist who is a spy, but really loves horses. I don't know why the British Secret Service thought that was a good idea, but nonetheless, we've got a guy, Godfrey Tibbett, who is going to be hanging out with Bond for a while, and he's MI6's horse spy.
I was trying to recall back, like, I see him and he grows on me by the end.
Oh, yeah.
But I was curious as to, I don't know exactly what your job is, but I guess he's the ranking horse spy. You need somebody everywhere.
Yeah. And I guess that is the point that MI6 is trying to make, that, like, there is no such thing as unnecessary knowledge. Like, if someone knows something, get them into the British Secret Service, because you never know if butterflies in the south of Mongolia are going to be used to poison the atmosphere. I have no idea if there are butterflies in the south of Mongolia, so don't hold me to it. But that's the point that I think they are trying to make. But for me, I'm just laughing at the fact that MI6 has a horse racing specialist who knows everything about horse breeding as well as the current movers and shakers within that world. So he knows
Needs to know.
Yeah, he knows who Zoran is at a distance. He even knows Zoran's bodyguard's name, despite saying, "Oh, I don't know much about her except her name." Like,
I caught her name.
Mayday.
Oh yeah. Mayday is an interesting overall character because I feel like was she well received at the time? I feel like
She was a rising star at the time, and I'm going to
Yeah.
say, for me, Mayday is the best part of this movie.
Okay.
Hands down, when I think about A View to a Kill, I want her face on the poster in order for me to be like, oh yeah, the one with Mayday. Because she's a much more interesting character than everyone. She's really hamming it up. She loves what she is doing. And actress Grace Jones started out as a model, became a top 40. Well, I don't know if she was top 40 in the US. She was definitely a charting musician. And then she got into acting last year for relative to this movie. So 1984, she was in Conan the Destroyer, the sequel to the first Conan.
Okay.
And you know, so she's a real Renaissance woman of the 80s. She's a model and an actress and a singer. Like, this is someone who was rising in the entertainment world just for the fact that she was everywhere, you know.
Interesting. I having none of that context, it didn't feel like a good acting pieces from her. And it may just be the entire movie combined, but like they cackle and laugh when they outrun Bond after jumping off the Eiffel Tower, and like her and the bad guy kiss, and it's just all like it just feels so awkward to watch.
Mm-hmm. She's one of those characters that has grown on me. And I will admit, the first time I watched the movie, I was like, this is a weird character in this movie.
It felt like a decision to put something unique there. So, I mean, of all of the characters, she gets to do more than kind of just, like, what's his face? The Scarpine guy, Scarpine, who looks like he's in other 80s villain movies. He kind of just is the henchman to do what needs to get done.
Yeah, I think he shows up in 4 or 5 scenes, has a few lines. Like, he's just the guy.
At least Mayday gets to, like, hide in cars, which seems to be her preferred method of killing.
Well, that and fishing rods. She's
so
good at hooking people.
She gets to do interesting things while everybody else kind of has their role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I think part of the reason I like her so much is because we are seeing another gimmicky villain. And John Glenn, if I remember correctly, John Glenn, the director, he's the one who wants a more realistic Bond franchise. He wants to come back to Earth, as it were. And I think this is the movie where he, not knowing what he's going to do in the future, he has strayed most from the path in this one. There is still one foot in the real world, but we've now got a supervillain and a gimmicky hench person. So far, the plot that we are at suggests that we are still down to earth. Right now, it's just microchips and horse racing. We don't know anything else. But later on, we're going to get to a scheme that, while not world-ending, changes the topography of the United States pretty significantly. And so I think John Glenn has gone from, you know, a real-world feeling villain to someone who is trying to do something big, you know?
Yeah, I think Well, meeting Zoran at his party and all of the kind of setup talk from Bond to him keeps it feeling real stakes. Like, like I'm trying to find out more about horses and microchips, and the stuff that comes following this kind of progresses from, oh, I'm looking for microchips and horses. I think that's where my notes really start is, okay, the crisis of the microchips, they're being duplicated. You've got a leak from, I guess, the UK or wherever they are to the Russians. Track it down. This guy's using it for horse doping. But how does that tie into his world change microchip catastrophe? He wants to make the biggest catastrophe.
This is one of those movies where it does feel like the action is there to drive the plot rather than the plot driving the action. And so when we get to Zoran's manor, Zoran, by the way, is played by Christopher Walken. I think he's pretty good. Probably not the best villain we've ever seen, but there is an interesting description, and I think Walken fits the role. I think he does it. It's not that memorable, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
I don't know that I ever knew he played a Bond villain.
Yeah, most people don't really know it. Yeah, it's not really the over-the-top Christopher Walken that everybody loves, you know?
Why does it go from horse stable, like, why is the microchip picked up?
Okay.
When all he wants to do
I'm going to try to go through it as quick as I can.
Sure, because I'm trying to work out the leap from I make microchips. I want to make all the microchips.
There is a French detective who is undercover in the horse world who sets up an invitation for Bond to go to a horse sale that Zoran is holding. That's when the guy gets hooked and killed. We go through the Eiffel Tower chase. We go through the car chase that jumps a ramp onto a boat, then breaks in half. And then he jumps onto another boat and crashes a wedding, but Mayday gets away. And that's when we mention that Zoran and Mayday have their maniacal laughter in the boat. Mayday slaps herself in the face, and I will never in my life understand why.
I think I missed that. I'm like,
it is. Ooh, it sticks out to me every time I see it. I'm like, who slaps themselves when they laugh? Like, that is a weird reaction to laughing. But it goes to Mayday just kind of being a very good gimmicky henchman. So now Bond goes to the sale. He gets set up. He starts treating Tibbet like a really underappreciated servant. They find out there's a bug in the room, and so they're going to do some good spycraft. Like, there are parts of this movie that are cute and fun and interesting, but they make their discussion, and that's when we first see our Bond girl of the movie. I, for the life of me, cannot remember her name. Stacy something or other?
Stacy Sutton.
Sutton, that's right. Stacy Sutton. She arrives on helicopter. Bond wants to meet her. So they go to this party. Bond is following the dude. He sees the check. This is all stuff that is related to the plot, and we have to talk about it, but none of it means anything. It's all stupid.
Yeah, because later he's giving her money to get oil rights.
Yes.
But he's blowing up the fault to flood stuff.
We don't know any of that yet. We don't.
Sure, but where is the oil going to go?
He doesn't want the oil. That is the whole point. He wants the land. But she thinks because he has all of these oil fields that he keeps purchasing, that what he really wants is the oil. And she's like, I'm not going to let him have a monopoly on these oil fields. It's going to be much, much later that we discover it has nothing to do with the oil. He just wants to do something with the fault. But we're jumping ahead. we gotta, have Bond do some spy work. He's not able to follow Zorin because Mayday is there. So instead he goes to the window. It's a polarized window, but he's got anti-polarizing sunglasses where he puts them on and adjusts a lever, and nobody notices apparently that a guy's playing with his sunglasses and staring at the wall. But I just had to point it out. It's just a thing. You're right. Bond finds out that Zorin is playing S. Sutton, paying S. Sutton. We don't know why. Bond and the audience still thinks this has to do with horses, because what else would it have to do with? We're in this whole thing about horses. Tibbet is being a good spy. He's actually following the horses and trying to figure out where they are. And they get into the secret lab later. They have a fight after the lab, but in the lab they discover that it's some kind of injection with a microchip, and if you press a button, that adds the steroids, and that gets the horse running faster. But that's how you are able to drug them without doping being caught, I guess. Doesn't matter. We're going to forget about horses very soon. Don't worry about it. They get into the lab. They find his microchip manufacturing area. I think we're in France right now. And so apparently Zorin he's got his own little microchip manufacturing plant under his horse stables. I don't know why that's a problem, but apparently it is. Because Bond sends Tibbet to go notify MI6. Tibbet gets killed. Bond gets found out. They have a horse race where the bet is, if he can win, then he can keep the horse. If he doesn't win, he doesn't win. But it turns into a cheating horse race. It's just another action sequence that doesn't mean anything and looks stupid, but is kind of fun at the same time because it's a transforming obstacle course, and that's kind of fun. But
that's like he has Q tech, but it's the villain side. I couldn't make out why take him through the race and then hit the buzzer to make the horse go crazy and run into the woods. Like, he's not going to go anywhere if you just... Yeah, it's like you should just let him finish on the track. He's not going... He jumped out of the track because you turned on the thing. Don't turn on the thing. He's already there. Let him win. Sure. It doesn't mean you have to keep your word. You're a supervillain. Just...
Yeah.
Get rid of him.
And I don't even know how Bond escapes because he is captured. He discovers that Tibbet is dead. There's a very good line where Bond says, you made a mistake in killing Tibbet. And Zorin turns and says, I'm about to make that same mistake twice. And I love that line. It was
pretty well.
Yeah. To me, that's on par with "No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die." Like, that is such a good line to say, I'm going to make the same mistake twice. And I don't know how Bond gets out of it. Completely slips my mind.
Well, they think that they kill him because they knock him out, putting him into the car, and then push the car into the lake.
That's right.
He breathes from tire oxygen, and then he gets out, but they think he's dead. The KGB is upset that they killed him without authorization.
All right, let me stop you here. The KGB is the unnecessary part of this film.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that happens in a lot of Bond movies where you can be like, you don't need this, you don't need that. In this particular movie, everything to do with General Gogol and the rest of the KGB is absolutely unnecessary, and we're going to see Gogol 2 more times. So they are really trying to push that the KGB is involved, guys. We promise. Like, they're a part of this.
The Soviets are getting the Microchips. So they're...
And apparently Zoran used to be a KGB agent.
Yes.
And now
No
he has
longer.
gone rogue. But he allows Gogol and the rest of the KGB to just show up. Like,
it's a risky meat.
Yeah. I genuinely hate this scene because it becomes the start of the totally unnecessary KGB for the entirety of the movie, where I'm just like, why are they here? Why are they allowed to be here? This is France. And the bad guy has defected. Like, why are you allowed to be here? But yes, then we jump cut. So, okay. Thank you for reminding me. I guess we get the tiniest connection. The slimmest of threads connecting the horses to the microchips. And that, I guess, is General Gogol saying, we've got this microchip operation and your horse racing is drawing unnecessary attention to it. You didn't have authorization to kill Bond. Now everyone's going to be watching this area because Bond is dead. And
okay.
Yeah. And so that's where they're telling us it's connected. And then it's the next scene where the movie just changes. Who cares about horses? Stop thinking about horses, guys. We're done with horses. Now he's on his blimp and he's going to have a transforming desk, which I love.
Gosh. I don't know if there was an establishing shot because I must have missed it.
There is one.
Okay, because I do watch this at my desk and sometimes I don't pay 100% attention. But I was like, when was I supposed to know they were on a blimp?
Well, and
he walks them out of the room.
It's such an odd transition because we were just in France talking to General Gogol, and our next scene is another villain scene with Zoran, and it has nothing to do with the previous scene. We have no Bond in between them. Like, it's just two villain scenes that go back to back, and it changes the entire message of the movie, the tone of the movie. Forget about the horses. Now we're talking about microchips again. We promise, guys, they were really important to the story. The horse thing was just there for fun.
We got to see horse racing. We got to see fancy suits and hats.
Yeah. It was great. We got to hear Miss Moneypenny almost say arse to a horse.
Yeah.
So it's the thinnest of threads. I don't know. Maybe that's the way it was in the story. Maybe there was nothing to do with horse racing in the story. Maybe that was something that a screenwriter or a producer was like, guys, I want a horse chase. Get me to a horse chase. And they were like, okay, we'll get you to a horse chase. Like, it's in our
contract.
Yep.
Oh, they just drove by. Oh, I guess is this in having it out in the background?
Mm-hmm.
They drove by a gas station and it said like $5 for 10. Can't tell if this is in England or in.
Well, this would have
in France.
I think this would have been during one of the oil crises of the 80s, because the oil crisis was what inspired the Mad Max movies. And so, here's our little snapshot of a world where gas prices are $1 million.
It's like I can't. It's throwing me off because it's the horse spy in the car getting washed, getting killed by Mayday.
Yeah. And Mayday, it's important to mention, Mayday is part of 3 female bodyguards to Zoran. One of them is named Jenny Flex. She's a blonde. And the other one is an Eastern Asian lady who gets no name and virtually no screen time. And I feel kind of bad for her because the concept of like reverse Charlie's Angels, I guess Charlie's Demons, would have been a fantastic gimmick, but we really only follow Mayday.
Yeah.
in terms of
I-
these bodyguards.
I keep getting reminded that they're there because they show up but don't say anything.
Yeah.
But Mayday's around, has a sparring match and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
And that's
let's go.
we forgot that we got our second woman that Bond sleeps with in Mayday.
True.
During the action sequence where Bond is infiltrating the lab and the manufacturing area, the alarm goes off. There are no cameras anywhere, apparently, because Bond's able to easily get back into the manor, and he discovers that Zorin and Mayday were at his bed, so he gets into Mayday's bed, and it doesn't make any sense. Like, they both know they are each other's enemy. Like, why the pretense? Right. Why pretend?
Yeah. So Bond can. I don't know. Yeah.
It's dumb.
There's no reason to pretend. Let's jump back to the blimp.
Yeah, so
I'll go with it. I want to say it. So not knowing the establishing shot that they're on a blimp, Zorin gives this kind of speech like, "Hey, look at these microchips." Like, one guy picks one up to like put in his pocket to keep them. I'm like,
another one's
these are
pointing at parts.
Yeah, it's like, you guys are the manufacturers of these chips. I was a little confused because he's like, "I have been feeding you insider information." I'm like, insider information to who? To
well,
what?
They're investors. They're not manufacturers. They're the stock market guys.
I've been giving you inside information. This is our crime meeting. Do not tell anyone else about our crime meeting in the blimp.
It didn't bother me that much because I'm sitting here thinking like, these are investors, and in my head, that's what investors do. It may not be in a blimp secret meeting, but I think that, they'll go to dinner and they'll be like, "Oh, did you hear that Jerry, the CEO over at this company, got a stomach ache? I'm going to be selling my stocks tomorrow." And then other people are like, "Oh, yes, I'm going to be doing the same." And they roll in big dollars, and they are actively doing insider trading, but because they're so rich, nobody cares. And the only thing this movie does differently is put them in a blimp and kill one of them.
Right. Like, I don't want to be a part of this. I'm like, so this guy doesn't want to be a part of this thing that is going down poorly. Just asked him for $100 million each, and there's like 20 people in there.
Mm-hmm.
He wants out. Anybody that can sign for $100 million whatever is going to be missed. And so they punt him out of the plane. I'll admit, I was expecting these stairs to collapse into a slide, but I was not expecting it to be on a blimp. I was like, "Oh, is it a plane?" Oh,
so not knowing, you're like, "Whoa!"
Yeah. Oh, they're up in the air. Okay, I thought.
Maybe there wasn't an establishing shot. Maybe they did just cut straight to the meeting. Now that I'm thinking about it, like, I think it was a surprise reveal that they're in the air.
It could have been a Shark Tank for all we knew,
like
wherever they were.
Or I guess a wild horse pit where dangerous wild horses are.
From there, the blimp kind of keeps going, and they've flown to San Francisco by now.
Yeah, which is Silicon Valley. And they have said that's
where they're going.
Yeah, they are going to take over the microchip monopoly. Microchips are currently being manufactured in Silicon Valley, just south of San Francisco, and they are flying to San Francisco. So it makes sense for the villain to go there. The villain has a plan that involves San Francisco. What doesn't make sense is, why is Bond there? Like, when did he show up and why?
I only have major issue with the Suicide Squad line, where I think Mayday says, "What of you?"
Yes.
Zorin says, "To a kill." Like, what? I told my wife the title to the show, and we're both like, "What does that mean? Is it like the assassin's window where you can only see the kill in this one little spot? But they come into San Francisco, and what have you? To a kill. What does that mean? What are you saying? I know you're planning on killing a lot of people, but I don't get it.
So apparently, I've never seen the movie. I only think of it from the Jay-Z and Kanye West song, but there's a line from Blades of Glory, where Will Ferrell is trying to describe some phrase, and he's like, it's provocative, it gets the people going. And that to me is A View to a Kill. It doesn't mean anything. It's just, ooh, what could it mean? Sorry, folks, nothing. It means
nothing.
That Grace Jones and Christopher Walken are
looking out the window.
Yep. So dumb.
You're on a road trip. You see the world's largest ball of twine. Oh, what have you?
To a kill.
Oh! I missed that part. Mayday is also like super buff.
Oh yeah.
When they talk to the KG people, I feel like I didn't think that she was super buff until she lifted a dude over her head. No effort at all.
It didn't surprise me at all because I had seen Conan the Destroyer, and I think it's about a quarter, maybe halfway through the movie that she shows up, and she shows up, I think, by fighting. No, she's captured, and Arnold saves her, and so she owes him a life debt. But that just means she gets to come along for the ride and fight dudes. And because it's a Conan movie, she's all oiled up and shiny and buff. And I gotta be honest, she's kind of a hot, buff lady. Like, I'm not usually into the buff look, but then we've got 80s Grace Jones, and I'm like, oh. Not a big fan of the hair. I don't like 80s hair. I just don't like it.
It was choice.
Like it was.
The last bit.
It's certainly there. But now that Bond is in San Francisco, we finally get to learn that Zorin is in fact a supervillain. And this is one of the parts of the movie that I kind of like. The CIA says that the horse steroid doctor who's been hanging around with Zorin is actually a Nazi scientist who did a bunch of experiments with steroids, causing the death of a bunch of fetuses, or I guess the abortion of a bunch of fetuses, but like the natural abortion where they just couldn't be viable, except for one baby that turned out to be super smart at the cost of being a psychopath. And that is Zorin. He is a super genius who is totally insane. And at that point, the character starts to work for me. I'm like, okay, he has a fatal flaw. Like, this is not he's insane, he's going to do crazy things. This is he's insane, he will make mistakes because he can't see that he is insane. You know, he is sitting here thinking, I'm the smartest one in the room. And when he makes a mistake, he can't possibly see it as a mistake. He's like, no, I'm still the smartest one in the room. So it works for me. It's a very short little scene with Chuck Lee from the CIA. Apparently the CIA owns a fish stand in San Francisco, and that's where Chuck Lee hangs out. We'll see him a couple of times in the movie. I genuinely don't remember if he lives or dies. I think he lives, but he's just the guy from the CIA. But that's how we find out about, you know, Zorin having various industries here in San Francisco, including something by the bay.
Oil stuff.
Yeah, it's supposed to be oil
Sucking
related.
in water.
But yeah, crabs have been disappearing, so he goes. But there's other spies at the exact oil rig at the exact time that Bond shows up.
And I thought they were part of like a team that Bond brought until not,
Yeah, like
because
I did
they
too. The
both,
way they shoot it, you think they're
yeah,
arriving together.
like Bond has had little helpers before, and
Hmm.
like he people join up with him, and I thought they were maybe Chuck Lee's group of helpers, but
I thought the exact same thing. Turns out
one of
they
them,
are from the KGB.
yeah, and one of them turns out to be the spy in The Spy Who Loved Me, except not. That's who they
Yeah.
wanted to be the actress, and I was like, all of this familiarity, and I had to ask myself, who is Pola? I don't see her in my notes at all. Who is this person? It's just a KGB agent that we are making up, has a history with Bond, and then tries to snatch a cassette tape from him.
It
And the
would
cassette
have
tape,
been a million times better if they had had Agent Triple X in
yeah,
this scene. Even if she was,
trying to
just
steal
there.
something from it.
Yeah. And Bond steals the tape that she makes. Even having the scene play out exactly how it played out. By the way, this is sexual partner number 3 for Bond.
Yep.
But if we had this series of scenes play out where Bond has this near miss of almost getting sucked into a propeller, which really did work for me. I was like, oh, that is freaky. That would scare me. Like, I am genuinely surprised Bond got out of that.
He acted pretty scared, and I believed it.
Yeah, it that's another one of those little things that works for the movie. I'm like, okay. And that kicks off the alarm that gets Zorin to find the KGB agents. Pola gets away, but the other guy gets thrown into that tube where we get to watch a dude get cut up by blades. Not like right away, like it's not graphic, but it's pretty close.
Well, the detail of Bond chucking his scuba tank to get away from the fan, jamming, and then the jam gets cleared. When the other guy gets tossed in, the propeller slows down while it's chunking the guy up, but it doesn't show. It just slows the power meter kind of wavering for a minute,
also
and then
kind of changes.
Yeah.
Like it sounds like a garbage disposal. Like where you put something kind of solid in there and it's like
and then it's done. It was that was a nice, like, this is horrifying, but we can still imply that it's happening very effectively.
But yeah, then Bond and Pola escape. They go to a bathhouse in San Francisco late at night.
I was asking myself, like, what is going on here? I have no idea who this person is. If it was a real person from a different Bond movie, it would have made so much more sense.
Otherwise, it's just a KGB agent that Bond slept with once before, and he's going to sleep with her again. But the real point of the scene is that Bond is going to steal the tape that she made.
Yeah.
Like she and her partner died so that the KGB could learn about the project that Zorin is working on. And Bond just steals it.
I feel like, why don't they already know what his project is? Like,
yeah, guys, weren't you listening while you were making the tape?
Yeah.
But apparently they weren't. I don't love the comedic scene with Gogol again. He's waiting out in the car. They put on the tape, and it's the bathhouse relaxation tape. They do a weird little look at each other. It's the slapstick Bond that doesn't really work for me. I'm just not a big fan of funny Bond. It just doesn't land.
I think, well, I guess he does get some information out of that tape, but it just felt like we know that he's doing something, but don't they find out more when they sneak in somewhere?
Well, this is the transition that I don't understand. For some reason, Bond then finds Stacey Sutton's house. It is a mostly empty mansion. We'll later learn that she has had to sell everything. She's a geologist. She is not in the oil industry, although her family used to be. And because her family used to be, she owns some oil fields. And so Bond shows up. I don't know why, but then Zoran's goons show up, and I do know why, because they want that land. Bond is the part that doesn't make sense.
Explained why she doesn't have any furniture, but it was very jarring for him to come into a house that has nothing in it.
And he's so creepy.
He's so creepy. He gets it. I'm trying to even understand how he gets to, because he asked Lee about Sutton, and he's like, "Oh, there's so many of them."
Yeah.
But somehow he gets back to our house, he breaks in, and follows the noise of the shower upstairs into the room, and opens the shower door like I'm sure Bond does a million other times. But man, was it the worst kind of context. But at least she gets the drop on him, and has been hiding, waiting for Zoran's goons, but manages to find Bond, but believes that Bond shouldn't get shot by her shotgun.
And it wouldn't matter because, as soon as the goons do show up, Bond grabs the shotgun and starts shooting them. Yeah. None of them die because we learned that she just loaded it with rock salt.
That was an interesting detail.
And I like that about her, where she's like, look, I know how to use a gun. I am going to shoot you. I just don't want to kill you. I'm going to hit you with non-lethals. It'll sting. You'll feel it. But it's not going to kill you.
Didn't notice that they weren't dying. I initially thought that the first guy Bond shot, like there were two people on the roof, but it was just the same guy that he shot twice.
Yep. And then they have this fight scene where we keep seeing all the stuntmen getting their big close-up moments. And, it kind of points to the fact that you really should put the actors in these close quarters fights.
They could have just not put the vase in as a don't break this. Oh, I have to break it to save Bond. Unnecessary.
It's cute that she's like, Granddad would have wanted to be in one last fight. Fine. I'll give Stacy that line. But this is the last time Stacy is going to be a good character for the rest of the movie. For the rest of the movie, she's always panicking and screaming, and she makes me so angry.
Oh, she gets herself kidnapped by a blimp.
Yeah, there are so many stupid things about Stacy Sutton where I'm like, ooh, it makes sense why we have to have her, because everything keeps happening and rolling into the next thing, and that's why she's here for the rest of the movie. But she's really only supposed to be in the first scene when they go into the states or the cities. They go into City Hall and they're looking for Zoran's records. They discover how many of these fault line properties he's buying, and that he's flooding some of these tunnels with salt water, I guess, because he's trying to cause earthquakes. Yeah, it's a weird thing, but nonetheless, they get the information they need. What's his name? Zoran shows up with a gun. He burns down City Hall. And this is where we are just stuck with Stacy for the rest of the movie, where we're going to have her, because she was there during the investigation to figure out what Zoran's doing. She's going to be in the elevator. She's going to be in everything. It's ugh.
It's kind of like Good Night. Once she finally gets trapped on the oil rig in the almost end of not Blofeld.
That was not Good Night, and I cannot remember her name. Good Night was the man with the golden gun who also got trapped in the trunk of a car, so another chump. But but the one you're thinking of, I'm trying to remember her name. She was the Vegas diamond smuggler who at the
Oh, yeah.
beginning of the movie seemed so capable, and then by the end of it was this ditzy, dumb girl. Like, I know who you're talking about. I can't remember her.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because she's there. She does a good, like, thing, but then Bond's like, oh, what did you do? Because I already took care of that. Whichever show that was, whatever was happening.
That was Diamonds Are Forever, because that was the space laser that's controlled by cassette tape.
That blows up the lyric, yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
I can remember some of these movies, but not all of them.
I lose track of them.
The Inferno, I hate. I am kind of jumping ahead. I know there's a meeting at City Hall where Bond pretends to be a reporter.
Oh, yeah.
That might be where he meets Stacy Sutton and figures out her name and therefore where she lives. But she's in the plan. Since we've gone to the manor, she's now in the plan. She's going to help Bond steal plans, and they're almost going to get killed by Zorin and Mayday. The mayor gets killed by Zorin with Bond's gun. They get trapped in an elevator, and then the place is lit ablaze. All so we can have Bond having this action sequence of climbing a burning elevator shaft and saving the girl, and then climbing down the firefighter's ladder. It's so indulgent. It really does feel like, I hate to say it, if we had been looking at a younger person, we probably would have been like, okay, fine, all of these scenes happened. But because it's Roger Moore, we're like, do I really need to watch another stunt sequence with an old man? Like, what is happening here? I'm just going to say it's because I feel like this movie was written for a younger actor. Like, it shouldn't be Roger Moore.
I'm curious what we're going to replace him with. Timothy Dalton.
Yeah. And
how far back?
I will say what is interesting about Timothy Dalton when we get to him. I don't want to say it now, but he's not that much younger of a man. Like, we're still kind of in this same age range that might be a little bit on the old side for an international secret agent, you know?
You know how they say that the main market for any consumer item is like, 20 or 18 to 35-year-old males. James Bond is made for the 36 and above crowd, so it's always got to be a guy in his
well above
midlife.
Yeah, this is midlife.
But
crisis.
he's still able to, get out there and be the action hero and spy.
Drive the fancy cars, get the young women.
Yeah.
And that's definitely what this movie is. We get a fire truck chase that I'll admit is charming. I have more fun with this one than I did with the French car chase, where Bond is on car chasing Zorin's boat. Or no, he's chasing Mayday in a parachute.
Oh, and his car busts in half.
Yeah. That one I find hokey and dumb, and I really just kind of hate all of it, especially because we keep seeing very clear images of a much younger stuntman who doesn't look anything like Roger Moore. But this time, in the fire truck, we don't have a lot of tight shots on the stuntman. And so I'm having fun with it. I'm seeing the ladder swinging back and forth. I'm seeing Bond get into that rear car, and he's driving the rear part of this massive fire truck. Like, then the bridge gets lifted and the fire truck jumps it, but the cops can't. And we start seeing a bunch of cops falling on each other. And it's slapstick that, I'm able to go haha at. Like, it doesn't offend me.
Yeah. The main cop leader guy felt so much like the cop from the airport Die Hard. I had to go and look, like, is this the same guy? No, it's a different guy. But
I'm glad you pointed it out. Now I hope if we watch the Die Hard franchise, I hope I forget that. And I hope I'm like, is that the same cop?
He's what felt the most 80s to me, because I was like, oh, this is Die Hard cops. This is, I think in the first Die Hard, the cop cars all kind of pile on each other or something. Something like that happens.
Yeah. But it's cute. It's cute and it's fine and it's fun. It's enjoyable to watch. It's not going to change the world. It's not even the most exciting or exhilarating to watch, but it's fun. And that's why I am pro fire truck chase scene. I'm anti City Hall Inferno, pro fire truck chase. And if I'm honest, at any point after the chase ended, Miss Sutton could have been dropped off. We don't need Stacy for the rest of this movie, but for some reason, Bond drives her all the way to Zoran's mines.
Oh, yeah. She's the potential damsel in distress, so yeah, we gotta have someone that Bond has to rescue, at least by the end.
Yeah, he needs someone to escape with. She's really just here to be the Bond girl, and that keeps pulling me out of it. But I'm going to say that for me, the best part of the movie is everything to do with the mine and the coming blimp. Like, we are now at a good movie. I am going to put my foot down and say, for like the last 20 minutes of this movie, we're in good movie territory.
Nope, you're wrong. It's okay. It's average movie realm, because if we ignore all the context and it's Bond fighting a guy that wants to submerge Silicon Valley, then yes, Bond is doing a service, not even for his country. And he's going to get the upper hand on the main bad guy. Okay. It's a good final 20 minutes. The movie is 2 hours long.
Yes. And I think that might also be why I like it so much, because, I've been watching an hour and 40 minutes of mostly garbage. And then we get to a part where I'm like, okay, like, we're going to flood the entire San Francisco, or the entire Silicon Valley. Like, that we're getting into super villain stakes now. Like,
yeah.
And so, I like this better than Octopussy, where we changed at the very end to be like, no, it's going to be a nuclear bomb. It has nothing to do with Jules. This one, it was midway through the movie where we decided to just follow Zoran. But now we have learned his master plan. We had to wait till we got all the way into the mines. We had to wait till the very end of the movie. But we know that he is going to blow up one key point of this particular fault. And it is going to send a rupture all the way down both sides of the valley. And that is going to
double earthquake.
Yeah. But it's also going to flood the San Francisco Bay and make it all flooded, and it's going to destroy Silicon Valley. And that is how Zoran is going to get a monopoly on microchip manufacturing. And that, for some reason, is connected to horse racing. I shouldn't have brought up the horse racing. I apologize. That was a low blow. I shouldn't have done that.
The supervillainness, I think, does come out nicely in the it does kind of link back to the nice setup plot points where Zoran is actually a psychopath, and so you see him gunning down people and kicking them back into the flooding mine. And
gunning down his own employees.
Awful. Like, he leaves Mayday there to die, but I did make a note that someone is laughing, like, maniacally again. I can't remember what part that was, but I had to write it down because it was so blatantly like, oh yeah, because they're getting, like, in the little mine car. And him and Scarpine Pine are just got, like, they're not throwing their heads back and laughing, but they're all grinning like, all right, let's go out of here.
It's like right after they leave the mine, the bomb has been planted. They've shot down all their people. Presumably, he's killed Mayday and her girls plus Bond. Like, And so, he looks at Scarpine and they throw their head back and laugh. It is very dumb. It's brief. It is
Yeah.
extremely brief, but it's there. It exists in the movie.
What? I mean, I guess you are really bad people, so
And
okay.
this was the thing that Roger Moore hated. He thought this movie was way too violent, and I can see where he's coming from because, like, this is gratuitous violence. This is Zoran just gunning down a bunch of people from a high position for about 3 minutes straight. And, we cut occasionally to Bond and Mayday still fighting until they 100% are killed by the flooding tunnels, except they're not, but that should have killed them.
Yeah. Get shot down a mine shaft with all
Yeah.
the debris and all the pillars.
It 100% should have been a death for both of them. But they're fine. They're fine. They both wake up. But and that immediately turns Mayday to Bond's side. She's like, I thought he loved me. That's her exact line. That creep, I thought he loved me. And I buy it. Hook, line, and sinker. Again, to me, Mayday is the best part of this movie.
Oh, the best part isn't getting kidnapped by a blimp. Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, so as they are escaping the thing, they've got to get the bomb out. While they're getting the bomb out, we've got this long and drawn out filling of the blimp where Zoran, Scarpine, and the Nazi steroid doctor are going to escape on the blimp. And we get Mayday showing off how buff she is by using a hand crank to bring the bomb out. And then she does the sacrifice play that is totally unnecessary. They're pushing the bomb out of the mines, and she decides to just stay with the bomb. She's just dead. She doesn't want to live anymore. She's gonna give a stink eye to Zoran and then die. I hate it.
I would expect that to be dead. She probably could have jumped off and it would have stopped, but then run away.
It would have been outside of the tunnel and therefore far enough away. She didn't need to stay on it. She's not adding enough significant weight to be adding to the velocity. Once it's picking up speed, she needs to get off of it. So I don't understand why she stayed on it. The
brake doesn't work.
That's right. She has to hold the brake. Even if she jumps off of it once they get to the tunnel entrance and it's now out in the open and she's got 3 seconds to run away from it, the brake isn't going to stop it immediately. It's going to go for a few more feet.
She could
fine.
Have
exactly.
Just like our other Bond villain girl that could have lived.
Yeah. Why did Volpa die?
Yeah.
Why do you always have to bring up Volpa? My favorite Bond villain of them all.
Good one.
I think I might just have a type, and that's the reason I like Volpa so much. But, Mayday, she didn't need to die, but she does, and it sucks, but whatever. She went out a hero, and I'm willing to accept that. She has a genuine character arc for this movie. 10 out of 10 would Mayday again. That's what I'm saying. But yes, you're right. The blimp is going. Bond gets together with Stacy. They have both escaped and they're running away. Somehow this slow, non-maneuverable vehicle is able to swoop down. They open the door. They grab Stacy because she doesn't know how to duck or move 3 feet to the left. But now Bond has to jump on the rigging and he's going to ride the blimp. Again, I may be sounding sarcastic. I genuinely enjoyed this part of the movie. I was like, we're finally at a good Bond movie. And so I'm good with, Bond hanging from a blimp and Zoran wanting to use the Golden Gate Bridge to knock him off. And I
I
love that
was
Bond
like,
ties a sailing
what?
knot.
I was asking myself, aside from movie reasons, why not just go towards a different building that has no sort of tie-offs that he could possibly use, and just smack him against that, and she'd probably be done with it. We're gonna sail across the bay. I don't know where they were stationed initially, but they have to sail to the bridge.
I'm pretty sure they were like 50 miles south.
Right? Yeah, well, it all happens in movie time, but...
Yeah, exactly. But Bond is holding onto that rope for the entire time.
Oof, yeah. They make it. He ties it off. Then they fight on the cable, which I would say, in the scheme of things, that is a high stakes place to fight. Like, okay, Golden Gate Bridge on the cable. The fight isn't much to talk about, but it is Bond versus supervillain, and they have a tussle like Batman and Bane, the little walkway in Batman Rises. What's it called? Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah. But I agree with you. It's good. It's a good fight. Like,
yeah.
We've got a mad... Well, we're kind of jumping ahead. What I love is Stacy wakes up. She gets free. She becomes an active member of the story again. Very briefly, she is a useful character, and she crashes into the side of the Golden Gate Bridge, creating a door. Then Scarface tries to go and fight Bond. She grabs like a fire extinguisher and knocks him out. And so now Zorin has to fight. And he grabs an axe. And I really loved the fight between Bond and Zorin. I mean, Zorin is an ex-KGB agent. We got to remember. He's trained to be a spy. Like,
yeah, they did say that. We trained you. What are you doing? So, our money, basically.
So presumably this is a younger, more fit, smarter villain going up against a late 50s Bond at the top of the Golden Gate Bridge. And finally, it feels right. Like, it really does feel like they played to Roger Moore's strengths. The fight felt good. We're not cutting to close-up shots of stuntmen all the time. It feels like they knew they had to end strong, and they did so with this fight. And Christopher Walken, when he is eventually defeated, he gives this maniacal laugh. It's not a big laugh. It's not like a huge laugh. He's just like, and like he's seeing the joke that nobody else sees, and then he falls to his death, and I can't get that laugh out of my head. It's
the kind of laugh that, like, the Hocus Pocus sisters have when they get hanged originally, and they're like, well, we're gonna be back. So I'll be back as a major supervillain.
Like, he does not believe this is his death. Or if he does believe it's his death, he's like, that's so weird. Why is it ending like this? Like, I'm the one who's supposed to be killing him. Like, it just haunts me, and I love it. It's so from the mine until shortly after Zorin's death, I'm loving it. I think it's the best. We get our last henchman reveal. Instead of doing it long after the death of the villain, we get the Nazi doctor to grab a gun and start taking shots at Bond, because he's Zorin's daddy, essentially. He's the one who created Zorin. And so he's taking shots, and then he goes and grabs dynamite, because why is there dynamite on a blimp?
Why are you going to throw it at something close to you?
Yes! Like, on the Golden Gate Bridge, what is your plan here? Like, and I get it. He's just so distraught that his only successful experiment has just died. He's not thinking straight, but they blow themselves up, is the point that I'm trying to make. And then, Bond and Stacy are safe at the top of the Golden Gate Bridge. We cut to MI6, where General Gogol is presenting the KGB's Medal of, or the USSR's Soviet Medal of Valor, or whatever they call it, to the first person outside of the Soviet Union. And he's like, "Where's Bond?" And they're like, "We don't know where he is. Like, after that event, he's just gone missing. We don't know where he is." And so Q goes to check on him with Q's little mouse droid that he had at the beginning of the movie.
Like how did they even get down? They're stranded at the top of the bridge.
Yeah.
Let's see how they get
down. And
what blows up?
Neither does MI6, because that's what we're told. Like, he's gone missing. We're back to a missing Bond. Like, that's... whatever.
We should go back to the house where he was last at.
Yeah, and it's only Q who thinks to do that, and Q doesn't even go inside. He sends his droid inside. Like, this is my least favorite Bond gets the girl at the end of all that we have seen. The rest have had a small amount of charm. I hate this one. Yeah.
Tell me why.
I hate the mouse droid. I hate the shower. I hate that Q is a pervert. I hate that they look like they're laying down in the shower that is clearly meant for standing, because they have to go under the curtain. And I just hate it. This is the worst version of this trope. We have hit the all-time bottom of Bond gets the girl.
I'll say I agree, because it wasn't like the entire time that Q was maneuvering the bot. I'm like, are we? How close are you going to get to this Q? Like, he's going to get right into the door. Toss a towel on the droid, but we'll see the rest. And
oh man,
there's the send off to Roger Moore.
Yep, and in case I cut it from the pre-intro of the show, this is one of those things where, like, just like Sean Connery, I feel like the worst version of, or the worst movie for the actor was the last movie for two actors. It just sucks. Diamonds Are Forever and A View to a Kill, they're just bad movies for those actors to have gone out on. And I don't know if, the movies would be any better with a different actor. I think the movies themselves really were just poorly put together, poorly conceptualized. Just nothing works as it should in either of those movies. And we had it happen again here for the second time. A View to a Kill just doesn't know how to end with Bond. And then we play out with the Duran Duran song that I don't like. And I feel bad. A lot of people love that song.
I don't know if I could tell you even the melody to it.
Sleep now in the fire. Something, 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 something. That's the main melody I remember.
It was like Andy Dwyer in the Office.
It doesn't work for me. I'm just not a big Duran Duran fan. I'm not going to say there are zero Duran Duran songs that I like, because that's wrong. In fact, let me look them up real fast. I can tell you the exact number. 1. I like Hungry Like the Wolf. That is the one and only Duran Duran song that I like. Everything else just doesn't work for me. And I think I only like Hungry Like the Wolf because it was in one of the Rock Band games. And so I played it over and over again until I finally started liking it. But so for me, well, let's get into it. On this podcast, we do reviews, not grades. or a rating, not a grade. I said it again. A rating is 0 to 10. A grade is 0 to 10, but the average is very different. In a grade, we say 7 out of 10 is the average because we don't want people to feel bad when they get a 5 out of 10. No, a 5 out of 10 should be the average. That is the middle. That is where it should be. So, with that in mind, Justin, what score would you give to A View to a Kill?
I was pretty sure I was going to give it benefit of the doubt for Roger Moore being his last Bond film. I think he did all right. I think the scuba scenes and some bits he played as James Bond, his James Bond. And so I think he did okay. Like, age aside, like if these were chronologically done from him being young to him being old, like, okay, it's like the Daniel Craig era where he is young, and in the last one he's just a little bit older. I feel like Skyfall is the one where he was supposed to be like at his oldest instead of the last one that came out. So I do like Bond in this. The villain is subpar. The plot twists a little bit. I feel like some of my criticisms will catch up to me in other ones because I'm positive that no motivation is seen from the villain until like the midpoint of the movie in other ones. So I can't feel like I can bring it down too much on that one. Because I want to give it an average. I want to say 5. I don't think it's an actively bad movie. And my finger's on the scale for not seeing Roger Moore anymore.
He's been a great Bond. Some of our best movies has been with Roger Moore, so it's hard to do him dirty to be like, here's
this
your
was
last
a
movie.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this one feels less put together than Octopussy. That one kind of, that's odd to say, but it has some reasons for doing what it's doing. The supervillain probably had to have a bigger plot than just the horses.
Horses would have been such a stupid main plot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I stick with the 5. Tell me what yours is.
Okay, now I need to preface this by saying at one point this week, I was at a 1. I was ready to say this is the worst that any Bond movie could be. And I watched it a second time just to verify, just to be like, is this truly a 1? And I got done with it and I was like, no, there's a legitimately good part in the last 20 minutes of the movie. I'm going to make it a 2. And I kept thinking about it and I was like, okay, this is a bad movie, but I absolutely want to watch it again. This is one of the best bad movies I have ever seen. And it went up to a 3. And I'm like, staying at a 3.
Was better than the tarot card one?
I'm putting it above Live and Let Die, the tarot card racist one. I'm putting it above Thunderball, the one with the unused sharks. I think maybe it's the last 20 minutes that redeems it for me, but even before that, when it's a bad movie, it's still a fun bad movie. Like, I am able to make fun of it. I'm only angry at the movie at the very beginning. And then when I finally accept that we're watching a dumb movie that I shouldn't be trying to enjoy or interpret as something better than it is, I'm having fun again. I'm having a great time.
Enjoy this.
Yes, like I should be like, all right, it's not good. Let's just let it not be good. And then I have fun. Then I'm having a great time. So I'm actually kind of positive on Christopher Walken. It's not his best role, but I think he's one of the more memorable villains for me. I really like the idea of a super genius psychopath.
I don't know if I'll remember him very well.
Yeah, like, we'll have to see what happens when we get to the end of the franchise. Because I am curious where some of these villains will end. But I think Mayday is going to be towards the top for me. Like right now, my top henchman is a tie between Jaws and Mayday. I love them both. They just work.
I mean, I'd probably rate Jaws above Mayday only because he gets to live and gets a positive, like, oh, let's see him, grow old and like enjoy the rest of your life.
And maybe that's a sign that I like growth in a character. And so when the villain turns good, I'm like, yes, that's the best villain. So even though Mayday is dead and she's never coming back, like she died a hero. So I like that.
Cool.
But I'm still at a 3. I can't justify bringing it up anymore. I can't. It's the best 3 a 3 could be. Like, this is absolutely a watchable movie. I don't want to give the impression that you should avoid it. I say absolutely watch this movie. You're probably just going to be making fun of it for most of it. It's just a fun, dumb movie.
Yeah. I mean, average. Yeah.
I mean, we're at a 4, like slightly below average for the show, but at the same time, I think that's fair for a bad movie that's fun to watch. Like, of the below average movies out there, there's not a lot of them that I'm going to watch again. And this is one of them. I know it's not good. I'm gonna watch it again. it's Little Caesar's pizza for me. Like, I am going to get that a hot and ready pizza. I know it's going to make my tum-tum feel bad, but I'm going to do it.
Oh, you always wonder. Like, maybe it was just that particular store. Like,
nope,
they
all
all
of them.
use the same ingredients.
Yep. No matter when I watch A View to a Kill, it's going to be a dumb movie. I'm still going to watch it. Alrighty. Well, we made it through another one. So with that being said, why don't you, the audience, help us out? If you have made it this far and you've enjoyed yourself, interact with the episode on whatever platform you are using to listen to it, whether that be liking, commenting, sharing, anything that they will let you do. That helps us a ton. So I would love it if you did that. If you want to get in touch with us and tell us why our takes are bad takes, send us an email at potatochippicturespod@gmail.com. If you want to share the show in small doses, why don't you check out one of our socials? We are on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, posting shorts from each episode throughout the week, and you can get little small tastes of it and share those with your friends. But, of course, we want you to actually do the whole thing. I'm not going to say our names again. I have this habit of always saying my name at a beginning and an ending, and this is a podcast. People know who we are by now. If they don't, they can listen to it again. We're not on the radio.
It's right at the beginning. Exactly. There you
go. So I guess with that said, Potato Chip Pictures and James Bond will return in the living daylights.
New Bond.
Yep. Thank you guys so much for listening. Goodbye.
Bye.
All right, before you hit stop, I do have to tell you something, and if this ends up being worth anything, I'll put it on at the end. I think The Living Daylights is going to be a first watch for me. I don't think I have ever seen this movie before.
I was looking at the names, and I don't think I've watched any of the 3. Timothy Dalton.
2. He did 2.
Oh, two?
Yep, we don't get him for long. He's gonna only be here for 2 movies.
Well, I don't think I watched either of those.
I have seen License to Kill once because I have a core memory of my early days with Bond where I thought the order was Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Lazenby, and then Timothy Dalton. Because in my eyes, the video quality of On Her Majesty's Secret Service from 1969 was on par with an 80s movie. And so I was like, clearly, you go A View to a Kill with Roger Moore, then On Her Majesty's Secret Service, and then obviously The Living Daylights. Like, clearly, they got rid of Bond or Lazenby and replaced him with the next guy. And so when I finally started looking at the movies, I was like, this is insane. Like, I had no idea that Timothy Dalton was so far removed from Lazenby. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally new movie for me coming up. I'm excited for it.
A lot of these are new. I'm trying to think of any of these if I've watched them before now that I've watched them. I don't think a single one. Maybe Goldfinger.
Let's see. For me, in the Pierce Brosnan era, I don't know if I have ever seen The World Is Not Enough. I'm sure I have, but I can't remember anything about it. And if I remember correctly, the one that's at danger of being a legitimate 1 out of 10 might be Die Another Day, the last Pierce Brosnan movie. So it might be like a curse. Your last movie is your worst movie.
I've been trying to not watch GoldenEye just to save it because I'm like, oh, I want to watch it.
We've got 3 movies, dude. 3 weeks.
It's gonna be such like a letdown or something. Like, no,
I hope it's not. It's been over a decade since I have last seen it, and I hope it holds up.